financial freedom. It's kind of this like this big dream, right? Like having the resources to just, live life on your own terms. Well, we're diving deep into an episode of Margin World that really digs into the myths and realities of, well, exactly that. And let me tell you, they do not hold back. So get ready, because some of your assumptions might get a little challenged.
Yeah, they really cut through all the noise and get to the core of
Yeah.
what financial freedom actually means. It's refreshing, honestly, especially in a world like we live in, just saturated with all these like get rich quick schemes, you know.
Oh, totally. And one of the first myths they just totally dismantle is this idea that financial freedom is like this exclusive club, right? And it's only for like the super rich. We're talking those people with more commas in their bank statements than like you can count. But Margin World makes this point that it's not really about like the size of your bank account, but more about the control and choices it gives you.
Exactly. They made this really good point, which is that true financial freedom is about having the power to shape your life.
Mm.
So whether that's like, taking that dream vacation, not being totally stressed about going into debt, or maybe even switching careers without freaking out about a pay cut, or even just having like the peace of mind that if something unexpected comes up, it's not going to totally derail your plans. It's less about like the actual numbers and more about like what those numbers let you actually do.
It's funny you mentioned peace of mind because Margin World actually shares this really cool example of someone who, get this, they achieved financial freedom, right? But they weren't born wealthy or anything. They talk about this teacher who, through, consistently saving and investing over time, was able to retire comfortably. And get this, they were able to pursue their passion for photography, like full time. They literally designed a life that they loved and that brought them joy. It's pretty inspiring.
And that's really what it's all about, isn't it? It's about
Hmm.
like aligning your finances with, your values and what you want in life. Now, I know what some people might be thinking. That's easier said than done if you're not, making a six-figure salary.
Yeah. Oh, tell me about it. That like high income dream is super tempting, but Margin World, they kind of throw some cold water on that whole idea that like a big paycheck automatically equals financial freedom.
Yeah, and they actually share this really interesting kind of a cautionary tale about this person who was like making serious bank, right? But then they were spending it just as fast as it came in. They're basically stuck in this endless loop of what they call lifestyle inflation, always needing that next big thing to feel satisfied. And it's like this person was earning a lot, but they had very little control over their financial future because they were living way beyond their means.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great example of how, a big income alone doesn't equal freedom, right? It's really about how you manage what you have. They even suggest like exploring a side hustle, and not even just for the extra cash. It's more about the skills and experience you can gain from it. It could even lead to new income streams down the road.
And that actually connects with their point about how stocks aren't the only way to build wealth.
Yeah.
Margin World is really big on like celebrating all the different approaches from real estate to, starting a business, which, we've talked about that here before, haven't we?
We have, but it's so easy to get caught up in like the how to. We focus so much on how we're going to achieve financial freedom that we forget about the most important factor of all time.
That's so true. Margin World does a really good job of reminding us that building lasting financial freedom is a marathon, not a sprint. They're very clear about, not falling for those get-rich-quick schemes. They really emphasize that patience and consistent effort are way more reliable than any shortcut out there. They even compare it to, like, building a house. It takes time, planning, and the right tools to create a really strong foundation.
Okay, so we've like shattered some illusions, right, about financial freedom, but now comes, I think, the really juicy part. We got to face the realities. And Margin World, they don't really sugarcoat this either. They're like straight up about the fact that if you want true financial freedom, it takes effort.
They are. But they frame it in a way that's, like, empowering,
Yeah.
not like all doom and gloom. It's more about, like, how can you take control of your finances so they can actually empower you to live the life that you want, right? And a big part of that, and they talk about this a lot, is embracing discipline. And yeah, maybe even a little sacrifice along the way.
See, when I hear sacrifice, I immediately think about those like extreme frugality stories, like that person who washes and reuses their Ziploc bags like 100 times. And I'm all for being mindful of spending, but it doesn't have to be like living like a monk, right?
Oh, definitely not. And Margin World, they're not advocating for like total deprivation or anything. They actually warn against like trying to go too extreme too quickly because that can lead to like burnout. And then ultimately you just give up on your goals altogether. So instead of that, they
Mhm.
frame it as like making conscious choices,
Yeah.
choices that are based on your values. Like, okay, what's more important to you? Is it that daily latte from that fancy coffee shop? Or is it like investing that same amount, but towards, your dream of like retiring early? It's all about making your spending match up with your long-term goals and like your big vision.
Right, right. It's like they say in the episode, you don't have to give up the things you love, but you might need to prioritize what you love most.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And to do that, well, that requires a shift in mindset. And they really emphasize how absolutely crucial that is for financial freedom.
Oh, this like really resonates with me because I remember when I first, was trying to get more financially responsible, and at first it felt so restrictive.
Mm.
But as I started to actually see the results, like seeing my savings account actually grow, it became like almost like a game. It was less about what I was giving up and more about what I was building towards. I love that. And what I think is so cool about how they talk about mindset is they don't just say like think positively and just leave it at that. They actually go deeper. They like give you practical strategies. Like they talk about surrounding yourself with people who support you, whether that's friends that are also into, financial goals or like even online communities dedicated to financial independence. They even mention like the power of visualization, like regularly picturing yourself actually achieving your goals to help you stay motivated. It's really interesting.
It is. And having that that support system and a clear picture of your goals, it's so key, especially because and Margin World really drives this point home, achieving financial freedom, it's not like a finish line that you cross. It's way more like an ongoing journey. It's not a one and done kind of thing, you know? You got to stay proactive.
Absolutely. They debunk this myth that, you hit financial freedom and then boom, it's just smooth sailing from there on out. Because they remind us the world of money, it's constantly changing. Like interest rates go up and down, the job market changes. So you got to stay informed and be ready to adapt. One thing they recommend is actually reviewing your budget regularly. I try to do it every 3 months or so. It's just a way to make sure it still makes sense for your goals and that you've factored in any changes to like how much you're earning or spending. It makes a big difference.
Okay, so we've busted some myths, right? Faced some of those hard realities and really dug into how important mindset is in all this. But now comes the part I know you've all been waiting for time to actually do something with all this. I mean, Margin World wouldn't leave us hanging without some concrete steps to take, right?
No way. Not their style at all. They're all about like that clear, actionable advice. Perfect for anyone who's thinking, okay, great info, but what do I actually do now?
Yeah, exactly. And they always deliver it super concisely, which I love. So are you ready to like dive into some of these actionable takeaways?
Let's do it. So what's first up on the Margin World Action Plan?
It's the one they are always, always talking about. And for good reason. We're talking about creating a budget. I know for some people the B word is like nails on a chalkboard. But what if I told you your budget could be the secret weapon, the thing that unlocks all those wild financial dreams you've got?
It's true. And Margin World is so good at explaining how a budget isn't about like restricting yourself. It's actually about empowerment. They even talk about like gamifying it. So you challenge yourself to like cut spending in certain categories, and then you get to use those savings towards something you really want.
Love that. Making it fun, you know? Not just this, chore you dread. And speaking of rewarding, the next step Margin World talks about is building that emergency fund. You know, that financial cushion that can be the difference between smooth sailing and total disaster when life throws one of its little curveballs your way.
Right, and they're very clear that you don't need $1 zillion to get started. To like anything is better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
Even setting aside a little bit each month can give you that peace of mind, and it can prevent those unexpected expenses from, totally derailing all your progress.
It's like having this safety net, right? So you can actually take some risks and go after those opportunities that pop up without totally freaking out. And once you've got that breathing room financially, then it's time to make that money work for you.
Exactly. Margin World is big on investing, of course, but they also get that it can feel super intimidating, especially when you're first starting out. So they recommend starting small and then slowly, like gradually increasing how much you're investing as you learn more, as you feel more confident. The biggest takeaway, don't let fear or even trying to make it perfect stop you from just getting started.
Totally. Remember how they said there's no such thing as a perfect plan? The important thing is to just take that first step. So whether you're like researching index funds or maybe diving into the world of real estate, the key is to take action and then learn as you go. And speaking of learning, Margin World leaves us with this like really important reminder, never stop learning.
So important. They really highlight how the financial world is constantly changing. So being curious, staying informed, it's crucial. It doesn't matter if it's like reading books, listening to, podcasts like this one, or even talking to a financial advisor. The opportunities to like boost your financial knowledge, they're endless.
So true. It's about becoming your own financial best friend. And that actually leads me to my final thought for you today. We've spent this whole time talking about the journey to financial freedom. But here's the big question. What does that journey look like for you? What are those things you absolutely will not compromise on? And what are you willing to, like, adapt along the way?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
It's really about figuring out what financial freedom means for you, like on your own terms.
Because at the end of the day, your path to financial freedom, it's going to be just as unique as you are. So take these insights, those action steps, and start building your own journey. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep that margin world mindset alive.